Lin Shiroi is famously known as a beautiful but clumsy fool. She accidentally lost the patient data painstakingly researched by the team. To avoid being discovered, she randomly fabricated a set of data herself during the patient's surgery. I noticed the data was incorrect in time, but the surgery was already halfway through, and the patient could not be saved. I went to the surveillance room to review the footage and finally learned the truth. Just as I was about to explain everything to the patient's family, my fiancé and brother stopped me. They accused me of mixing up the patient's data. They also said, "If you reveal the truth, how will Shiroi continue to work as a doctor?" Just like that, I was pushed off the high-rise building by the emotionally charged patient's family. When I opened my eyes again, I was back during the surgery. The patient's heart rate is spiking. This statement caused a flurry of panic in the operating room. Seeing everything familiar, I realized I had been reborn. This surgery wasn't originally mine. Just 2 hours before the operation, my fiancé Gu Yuan came to me, saying he had an urgent matter and asked me to cover for him. With a life at stake, I couldn't refuse. I quickly reviewed the patient data and surgical plan he gave me. However, during the surgery, due to incorrect data regarding the patient's tolerable dosage, a serious complication occurred, resulting in the patient's death on the operating table. After the surgery, I checked the surveillance footage and discovered that Lin Shiroi had lost the report. To avoid being held accountable, she fabricated one and submitted it. She was afraid that Gu Yuan would be expelled from the hospital, leaving her with one less ally there, so she made an excuse to send him away and suggested that he seek my help. The family members were still causing a scene. I found them and asked them to come with me to review the surveillance footage, but Gu Yuan stopped me. By the time I pushed past him and brought the family members over, the surveillance video had already been deleted by my brother. Even though there was no evidence, I still pointed out that Lin Shiroi was the one to blame. Lin Shiroi, in an attempt to prove her innocence, ran to the rooftop and threatened to commit suicide. My brother and Gu Yuan blamed all the mistakes on me. Both were prominent figures in the hospital, and the patients' families naturally believed what they said. In their emotional state, they pushed me off the rooftop. My death protected the reputation of the hospital and everyone else. Only I, even in death, had to bear the stigma. Given a second chance at life, I directly pushed away the data handed over by the second assistant. "This is wrong." Lin Shiroi stood to the side, muttering softly, "How is that possible? How could the data be wrong? Data fluctuations are normal. Don't talk nonsense. You might cause panic." I glanced at her but said nothing, reduced the dosage, and continued with the surgery. 2 hours later, the surgery was successful, and the patient's life was saved. As soon as I stepped out of the operating room, the patient's family immediately surrounded me, asking, "Doctor, how did it go?" I took off my mask. "It's not convenient to talk here. Everyone, follow me." I brought the patient's family and everyone who had been in the operating room to the monitoring room. Amid everyone's confusion, I retrieved the surveillance footage. In the video, the evidence of Lin Shiroi altering the data was crystal clear. All the astonished and angry gazes fell on Lin Shiroi's face. My palms swiftly followed, landing on Lin Shiroi's face. "You're already guilty enough for losing the data, and then you go and upload a fake set of data. Do you know that if I were to use your fabricated data during surgery to administer medication to the patient, it could kill them?" Lin Shiroi's cheeks flushed red, and her eyes welled up, reflexively shaking her head in denial. "It wasn't me, I didn't." The patient's family yanked Lin Shiroi's hair. "The surveillance video is crystal clear, and you still deny it." A few people quickly knocked Lin Shiroi to the ground, and no one stepped forward to help her. Lin Shiroi shielded her most cherished face and cried as she apologized. A furious shout suddenly rang out, "What are you doing? It's my fiancé, Gu Yuan." Lin Shiroi recognized Gu Yuan's voice and cried out for help. "Shiroi." Gu Yuan was furious, pushing the patient's family aside forcefully. Helping Lin Shiroi up, and shielding her in his arms, he sternly questioned, "What are you doing? This is a hospital. Is this a place for you to cause trouble?" The patient's family wasn't about to let Gu Yuan off either, and they started hitting him as well. "Your girlfriend almost killed my son. You're my son's attending physician. Where the hell have you been?" Gu Yuan truly didn't know about the things Lin Shiroi had done, and he spoke up for her with unwavering confidence, but the surveillance video squarely proved him wrong. Lin Shiroi nestled in Gu Yuan's embrace, crying like a pear blossom bathed in rain. "I didn't do it on purpose, and my data wasn't wrong either. It was indeed the patient's data from that day. How could I possibly write something carelessly that would harm a patient? I'm a doctor. Do you think I lack even the most basic medical ethics?" Gu Yuan was heartbroken. As a doctor, She had lost even the most fundamental principles. His gaze darkened as he looked at the patient's family. All right, Dr. Lin didn't do it on purpose. Besides, Xiao Jia's surgery was very successful, and Dr. Lin also contributed to that. Gu Yuan's second assistant couldn't stand it anymore. Dr. Su completed this surgery. If it weren't for her noticing the incorrect data and using her professional knowledge to turn the situation around, the patient would really have. Gu Yuan shot a sharp glance over. The second assistant paused for just a moment before standing by my side. She had already decided to side with me. After all, he was a smart person, so he wouldn't speak up for the culprit, Lin Shirue. In front of the patient's family at this moment, the second assistant continued. Dr. Lin even said that fluctuations in the patient's data are normal. Dr. Gu, why would you assign such an irresponsible doctor to this surgical team? Gu Yuan choked. You. Xiao Jia's father grabbed Gu Yuan by the collar. Are you trying to kill my son? Gu Yuan gave the second assistant a sinister glance, then quickly changed his expression and said to Xiao Jia's father, don't worry, I will definitely give you an explanation. You should go back and take care of Xiao Jia first. Cut the crap. Xiao Jia's father didn't spare Gu Yuan any face, pointing at Lin Shirue and saying, fire her, or I'll make a big scene out of this. Your hospital can just wait to shut down. Gu Yuan looked at me. His eyes filled with condemnation. That look seemed to say, you just had to make a big deal out of this, and now the whole hospital is being dragged down because of you. I couldn't help but laugh in anger. Gu Yuan, Lin Shirue is under your supervision. You must also give me an explanation for this, or you can forget about working here, I said coldly. Gu Yuan's expression froze, clearly not expecting me to humiliate him in front of so many people. Su Lian, don't add to the chaos. I raised an eyebrow and cut him off coldly. I think you really don't want to keep your job. I didn't spare him another glance and said to Mr. Jia, please rest assured, our hospital will definitely give you an explanation for this matter. Mr. Jia was very grateful to me. After all, it was I who saved his son, yet he still held doubts. You, Dr. Su, you. I smiled slightly and said, the hospital is owned by our family. Xiao Jia's father let out a sigh of relief and nodded repeatedly. Good, Dr. Su, you must stand up for us, of course, I said with a smile, seeing off Xiao Jia's family and dismissing the others before returning to my office. Gu Yuan and Lin Shirue followed me. As soon as we entered the office, Gu Yuan sternly questioned, Su Lian, what do you mean by saying the hospital is owned by your family? All right, even if you have a say in the hospital, you can't side with outsiders. If you can't even protect your own people, how can you be a good leader, who would respect you? I sat down in the chair and waited for him to finish before speaking slowly. I'm siding with outsiders. I glanced at Lin Shirue, who was huddled beside him, and smiled. How could I possibly outdo you in that? It seemed Gu Yuan had only just remembered that he was my fiancé. What a hassle. He walked over a few steps, his expression softening a bit, and even his tone took on a somewhat earnest meaning. Xiao Jia's surgery was very successful, so let's not blow this matter out of proportion. Okay, if word gets out, it will have a significant negative impact on the hospital's reputation and standing, so I can't leave any loose ends. I glanced at Lin Shirue indifferently. A doctor who dares to falsify patient data, showing such disregard for patients' lives, should be fired outright. You're being irresponsible to your patients by shielding such subordinates. I didn't give Gu Yuan a chance to speak. You should be fired too. Gu Yuan didn't take my words seriously at all. Don't say things out of anger. I looked into his eyes, speaking slowly and clearly. This isn't said in anger. Gu Yuan finally realized I was serious, but he didn't take my words to heart. Instead, he used his position to threaten me. Su Lian, don't forget, I am your fiancé, am I? My meaningful sidelong glance swept over Lin Shirue. Don't talk nonsense. Gu Yuan's jumping up and down truly portrayed anger mixed with embarrassment to perfection. I stood up with a smile. Gu Yuan, from now on, you are no longer my fiancé. A trace of impatience flashed across Gu Yuan's handsome brows as he reached out to grab my arm. I slightly dodged. Don't touch me. Gu Yuan was furious. Su Lian, what exactly are you making a fuss about? I'm not making a fuss. I still smiled. I just find you dirty, and I don't want you anymore. I gave him a contemptuous once-over, my gaze finally settling on his furious face. Does he think I've made him lose face in front of his beloved woman? I looked at Lin Shirue and said with a smile, just a freeloader who doesn't know his place. Whoever wants him can go pick him up. After all, I withdrew my gaze and Looked at Gu Yuan. This person is quite the actor, only showing others his glamorous side. Gu Yuan's tightly clenched fists were trembling. Want to hit me? I raised my hand and slapped Gu Yuan across the face, smiling as I asked him, do you dare hit me? Lin Shirui cried out in rebuke. Su Lian, you've gone too far. Gu Yuan is a man. How could you be so disrespectful to him? I'm giving him face. But does he deserve it? I'm going to tear off Gu Yuan's facade and stomp on it. Gu Yuan clenched his teeth tightly and nodded. Fine, Su Lian, let's break up. Don't regret it. I laughed at his words. Have you ever seen anyone regret throwing away trash? You? I waved my hand dismissively like shooing away a fly. All right, you can leave now. Gu Yuan glared at me with eyes wide in fury before turning and striding away. Lin Shirui's teary gaze carried an accusation, as if I were the unforgivable criminal. Had she forgotten that she almost killed someone? She had indeed killed people in her previous life, 2 of them. Suppressing my hatred, I sneered, the trash has run away. Aren't you going to chase after it? Even if the hospital is owned by your family, I won't let you bully people like this. She threw down the ultimatum and turned to chase after Gu Yuan. The next day, I saw Lin Shirui at the hospital. She seemed quite pleased with herself, shooting a challenging glance from a distance, but I wasn't surprised. With my brother around, Lin Shirui wouldn't leave the hospital so easily. Gu Yuan naturally was saved along with her. After she said something to my brother, she seems to enjoy the feeling of playing between 2 men. Lin Shirui had already walked up to me, reverting to her usual innocent flower demeanor. The patient's family has decided not to pursue the matter, and the hospital has also chosen to downplay the issue. Dar, Su, I'm truly sorry to let you down. That's fine, I nodded. With them under my watch, it's easier for me to keep track of their every move. However, I can't help but feel a bit disappointed that the patient's family decided not to pursue the matter. My death in my previous life was closely tied to Lin Shirui, but I was ultimately killed directly by the patient's family. In this new life, I not only saved their son but also let go of my hatred towards them, but in the blink of an eye, they were bought off. It must be my brother, Su Isan. I curl my lips into a smile, silently repeating to myself, every event happens for my benefit. Lin Shirui hadn't pushed me enough yet, and she added another line, Xiaojia's data has been reorganized, and he still has 1 more surgery, with Gu Yuan remaining his attending physician. Now I was truly delighted. That's wonderful. Lin Shirui chuckled lightly, speaking with sarcasm. You really have a good attitude. She walked past me and left. I slowly turned around, my gaze fixed on Lin Shirui's retreating figure. Having died once already, my mentality is naturally strong, so I can send her to her death. I've been busy for 2 days straight, and I only got home in the evening. Seeing my parents acting as usual, the bitterness in my heart finally faded away. Yen, why do you look so pale? My mom took off her glasses and placed them on the coffee table, walking over. Are you too tired? My dad chimed in from the side. How can a doctor not be tired? My mother gave my father a playful glare. You think you know everything. I'm worried about our daughter. Am I not worried about our daughter? My father smiled warmly as he walked over. Yen, I made you some cod soup. Drink more later. My eyes still stung a bit, and I took a deep breath, nodding. Her complexion isn't bad because she's tired. Su Isan's cool voice echoed from upstairs. I followed the sound and looked. Su Isan slowly descended the stairs and approached me, his presence powerful and icy, as if I were his enemy, not his sister. My mother frowned slightly. Isan, what are you saying? Su Isan looked coldly into my eyes. Why aren't you speaking? Tell mom and dad everything you've been doing at the hospital these past 2 days. Seeing that I remained silent, Su Isan scoffed lightly. Afraid, worried that mom and dad will find out you nearly destroyed the entire hospital. Su Lian, how long do you think you can keep this hidden? My parents were both startled by his words. What do you mean, destroyed the hospital? Su Isan looked down at them, speaking coldly. You should ask your precious daughter about that, when I still didn't speak. Su Isan gave a slight nod and turned to my father. It was our esteemed Dr. forHer, who, upon discovering a data error in a patient's records, immediately brought the patient's family to the hospital's surveillance room, casually showing them the hospital's surveillance footage to outsiders, causing the family to become emotionally agitated and nearly tarnishing the entire hospital's reputation. It also nearly ruined the futures of 2 doctors at the hospital. If a hospital immediately throws the involved doctor under the bus instead of trying to protect its own people when something goes wrong, then no matter how many people it saves, it lacks any humanity. He who wins the hearts of the people wins the world. We are a private hospital. we need to make money, Su Lian, because of you alone, you almost destroyed the hospital and the jobs of so many people, yet even now, you haven't said a single word of apology, Su Yisun sneered, people like you don't deserve to stay in the hospital. My parents' astonished and puzzled gazes fell on me. Yen, what exactly is going on? What's going on? I kept staring at Su Yisun, the dense chill in my heart churned and roiled with hatred, finally dissolving into a soft chuckle. Brother, you're mistaken. Su Yisun raised an eyebrow, exuding an air of superiority. Tell me, what did I get wrong? I spoke up, after discovering that Dr. Lin Shirue from our hospital had made an error in the patient's data, nearly causing the patient to die on the operating table. My first response was to rely on my professional expertise to continue the surgery, pulling the patient back from the brink of death and preserving the hospital's reputation. That's why the family didn't immediately cause a scene. The chill I felt in my heart earlier hadn't vanished, it had simply shifted onto Su Yisun's face. I continued, as soon as the surgery ended, I immediately brought the patient's family to the monitoring room. I showed them the evidence that Lin Shirue had mistakenly deleted the data and then carelessly fabricated a report to cover it up. I made sure the video hadn't been deleted, identified the person responsible, and dismissed them right in front of the patient's family. That was my way of giving them an explanation. Under Su Yisun's icy gaze, I went on, but the one who truly protected the hospital's reputation was you, brother. It was you who found the patient's family, offered them a large sum of money, and ensured they wouldn't speak a word about this incident. I blinked, curious, and asked him, but brother, I really want to know, did you spend money to silence them for the sake of the hospital, or to protect Lin Shirue? Su Yisun's cold, stern face finally cracked, and he said sharply, Su Lian, you're still arguing when you've done something wrong. Enough, my father interrupted Su Yisun in a deep voice. I understand. He looked reproachfully at Su Yisun, that Lin Shirue is the new doctor at the hospital, right? Losing patient data is already a serious mistake. Instead of reporting it promptly, she fabricated a report herself and submitted it. That's practically murder. Su Yisun was somewhat agitated. Dad, Su Yisun, I think you're truly confused. If it weren't for your sister, the patient might have already passed away. By then, not only the hospital but our entire Su family would be implicated. And even you wouldn't be spared. Instead of thanking your sister, you have the audacity to scold her with such arrogant words. Where is your mind? Su Yisun furrowed his brow tightly. Dad, shut up, my father roared angrily. You need to reflect on this properly. Su Yisun shot me a cold glare, then strode out of the house with his long legs and didn't return all night. My mother's expression wasn't too pleasant either. What's going on with Yisun and that Lin Shirue? Why is he siding so much with an outsider? My father snorted coldly. What else could it be? He's taken a liking to her. I think he's even lost his sense of right and wrong. This is just, he looked at me questioningly, finally remembering, isn't that the one who's obsessed with love? I can only say, my dad actually understood. Your mom and I were only away for a few days attending a conference, leaving the hospital in his hands, and he managed to cause such a huge mess. If we had come back a few days later, who knows what would have happened? My mom pursed her lips. In the end, he's still immature. When it comes to major matters, he's not as clear-headed as Yen. My dad nodded in agreement. You were right to fire him. Our hospital doesn't need that kind of doctor. I cleared my throat softly and whispered. My brother managed to keep it under wraps. My parents were speechless. I knew what they were about to say, so I quickly added, Mom, Dad, this matter hasn't blown up yet. If my brother wants to handle it this way, let's leave it at that for now. We can see how things develop later. If something happens again, it'll be too late for regrets. My father's emotions were running high. My mother seemed to have read my mind. She soothed my father for a while and continued, Yen has her own plans. Let the child gain some experience. My father wasn't in a good mood. Your brother is already lovesick. Don't follow his example. I won't, I said firmly. I've already broken up with Gu Yuan. Gu Yuan and I were college classmates. He was handsome and had good grades. Back then, everyone said that if it weren't for his poverty, he would have been perfect. At that time, I didn't understand why poverty had become a flaw in a person, so I took the initiative to get close to Gu Yuan, without suppressing my fondness for him. Back then, my father would occasionally come to the school to teach. I always found his classes boring and didn't like attending, but Gu Yuan really enjoyed them. He said he admired my father and hoped to become a great doctor like him, saving lives and healing the sick. My parents also appreciated Gu Yuan and even funded his academic research. After Gu Yuan graduated, they provided him with a position, giving him the opportunity to showcase his medical skills. It was only natural that we ended up together to solidify his position in the hospital. I even deliberately concealed my own abilities, just so Gu Yuan could perform more surgeries. This wasn't a lack of responsibility towards the patients. If a surgery was beyond Gu Yuan's capabilities, would naturally step in. In my previous life, even on the brink of death, I was still wholeheartedly considering Gu Yuan's future and hoped to build a family with him. If we ever had children who were interested in medicine, Gu Yuan and I would certainly do our best to nurture them, just like my parents did for me. But everything changed the moment Lin Shirue appeared. Gu Yuan not only betrayed my parents and me but also betrayed Su Yisan. After all, our entire Su family had done him a great favor. Of course, I wouldn't stop Gu Yuan from betraying Su Yisan. Su Yisan deserves it, but there are some things I must make clear to my parents. After hearing me out, my parents were both deeply disappointed. Over all these years, my parents had long regarded Gu Yuan as their own child. Gu Yuan, this child, has really disappointed me, my mother said with a heartbroken tone. My father sighed and after a moment, he patted my shoulder. It's better to recognize it early. If you really marry someone like him, your mother and I will have to worry about you, and you yourself won't be happy either. I couldn't help but hug my father, hugging my dear father on behalf of my past self who had died. Dad, thank you. My father pushed me away. Don't imitate those foreigners, we Chinese value subtlety. I turned around to hug my mom. Mom, I love you. My mom laughed and patted my back gently. Don't mind your dad, you don't need to be reserved with me. My dad cleared his throat and spoke with a hint of pride. Actually, a hug would be fine too. My mom suddenly thought of something and pushed me away. Gu Yuan and that Lin Shirue must be fired. Isn't Yisan just messing around? My father also agreed, and it was clear that he was truly disappointed in Gu Yuan. Although Gu Yuan's medical skills are decent, they're not exactly rare. I took him in back then because I saw his hard work and kind-hearted nature. I don't know if my old eyes are failing me, but I never realized he was putting on an act all along. I felt a chill run through my entire body. If Gu Yuan really had been acting all this time, then he was far too cunning. Such a person absolutely could not be kept around. But, Mom, Dad, why not leave this matter to me? I've thought it through. Whether it's treating patients or managing the hospital, I need to get involved. Seeing me so motivated, my parents naturally agreed. They hadn't originally decided to hand the hospital over to Su Yisan anyway. My parents entrusted this matter entirely to me. The next day, I ran into Xiao Jia's parents at the hospital. Seeing me, the two of them didn't show a hint of guilt. I still asked them, Lin Shirue almost killed your son. How much money did you take to agree so readily not to pursue the matter? Xiao Jia's father immediately jumped to his feet. What does this have to do with you? Xiao Jia's mother also chimed in sarcastically. Dr. Su, don't act all innocent after getting the advantage. Everyone knows this hospital belongs to the Su family. We, the Jia family, are kind-hearted and agreed to keep this matter under wraps. You should be secretly celebrating. Why are you pretending to be some virtuous martyr here? I wanted to tell her that chaste and fiery woman isn't used that way, but I decided against it. What was I arguing with them about? I only said, Xiao Jia still has another surgery, and I'm the only one with a 90% chance of success for this one. We don't need you. Xiao Jia's father waved his hand. Dr. Gu and Dr. Lin are already working on my son's surgery plan. Is this what they mean by, good words cannot persuade those who are fated to die? When I made my morning rounds, I still glanced at Xiao Jia. After all, I had saved him from the operating table. Lin Shirue happened to be there as well. Seeing me, Lin Shirue smiled even more tenderly at Xiao Jia. Xiao Jia, rest well, I'll come to see you again this afternoon. Xiao Jia is 19 this year. Due to poor health, she only started university this year. But unexpectedly, she ended up in the hospital just a few days into her studies. In her previous life, she even died directly on the operating table. Just as I was about to step forward, I saw Xiao Jia grab Lin Shirue's hand. Dr. Lin, don't go, stay with me a little longer. Lin Shirue smiled and gently pushed away Xiao Jia's hand. I still need to do my rounds. If you feel unwell, call me anytime. She smiled again and nodded to me. Then Lin Shirue left the ward, carrying with her an aura of peaceful tranquility. Xiao Jia watched Lin Shirue leave with eyes full of warmth, not turning to look at me until her figure completely disappeared at the door of the ward, his expression suddenly turning cold. Dr. Su, I already know about the previous incident. Since Dr. Lin wasn't intentional, Don't use my name to make things difficult for Dr. Lin anymore. Dr. Lin is a good person. I felt a tightness in my chest, so stifling that for a moment. Even breathing became difficult, but I have to admit, I admire Lin Shirui, Su Yisun, Gu Yuan, and now even Xiao Jia are on her side. Could it be that I'm just a failure as a person? Well, yes, my biggest failure in my past life was not sending these 3 people straight to their deaths, but I have been given another chance to live again, since heaven has granted me this opportunity to start over. Even as a doctor, I must tell them, go die in place of good people. Leaving the ward, I went straight to the surveillance room to see if Lin Shirui had visited Xiao Jia in the ward after I left the hospital last night. Although there are no cameras inside the ward, the hallway surveillance might offer some clues. Unfortunately, there was no gain at all. Lin Shirui did indeed enter the ward. She went in with several nurses for rounds. Afterward, the nurses came out first, while Lin Shirui stayed inside and emerged about 10 minutes later. Nothing unusual. After leaving the monitoring room, I hadn't walked far when I saw Chu Yanan, carrying a plastic bag and crying as she walked. She is Gu Yuan's second assistant, and she even spoke up for me before I quickly walked over. What's going on? Glancing at the contents of the plastic bag, which seemed to be all her personal belongings, I immediately understood. All right, don't leave, follow me. Chu Yanan wiped away her tears. Dr. Su, I was just about to come find you. Your brother fired me. I patted her shoulder. Don't feel wronged. I'll take care of you after the meeting. Chu Yanan nodded and cautiously asked, what about your brother? I pursed my lips. He's only in charge of business matters. He's not in a position to make unilateral decisions. Chu Yanan chuckled lightly. I knew I made the right choice. I pulled Chu Yanan into my office and closed the door. I just checked the surveillance footage. Last night, you and Lin Shirui went on rounds together. Lin Shirui and Xiao Jia. Before I could finish, Chu Yanan rolled her eyes dramatically. You didn't see it, Dr. Su. The moment Lin Shirui saw Xiao Jia was awake, she grabbed his hand, showered him with concern, and kept batting her eyelashes at him. I shouldn't say this, but I will. Xiao Jia is also an idiot. He almost got killed by Lin Shirui, but just a few flirtatious glances from her and he was done for. People who only think with their lower bodies. I wonder what's the point of saving them. I gestured to Chu Yanan with my finger and whispered in her ear, help me with something. After I finished speaking, Chu Yanan made a disgusted face and said, if that's really the case, I admire her for being so daring. Don't worry, Dr. Su, I'll keep a close eye on both of them. All right, I'll rearrange your position and give you an answer before you leave work. For now, just find something to do on your own. As I spoke, I took out my phone and called my father, asking him to assign Chu Yanan to me. My dad told me to arrange it myself. From now on, the hospital will be divided into 2 factions, me and Su Yisun. It's laughable, isn't it? But that's reality. Even a place meant for healing and saving lives isn't always united. Everyone has their own little schemes. Now I'm joining in too. Not long after Chu Yanan left, Gu Yuan came in without even knocking. So rude. He started with an accusation. Su Lian, are you deliberately opposing me? I fired someone, and you keep them on. Whose face are you trying to slap? I laughed at his strong, forceful demeanor. Gu Yuan, have you forgotten what you are? Who do you think you have the right to fire from the hospital? Gu Yuan seemed stung by my words, his face showing a mix of embarrassment and displeasure. I was the one who had your brother fire him. Then just say Su Yisun fired him directly. What are you pretending for? I looked back at the computer, casually telling him, Su Yisun doesn't have the right to fire people at will either. I think Chu Yanan is quite good, and I plan to take him under my wing personally. Chu Yanan is mine. She was fired by you, wasn't she? I gave him a fleeting smile. She's my person now. Any more questions? Gu Yuan's expression darkened, like a storm cloud looming over the city. Su Lian, are you trying to go against me? I was utterly speechless. Do you even hear what you're saying? Go against you? Are you even worthy? Gu Yuan was momentarily choked. You? I slightly raised my chin. Besides, don't speak to me in that tone again, or I wouldn't mind acting as a capitalist and letting you taste the dark side of this society. Gu Yuan looked at me in disbelief. Su Lian, how could you? Get lost. I waved my hand dismissively, unable to hold back a complaint. A man who owes everything he has today to my family's support, acting up and making a scene like this. Gu Yuan slammed his hands forcefully on my desk. Su Lian, let me tell you, I got to where I am today through my own abilities. I smiled. All right then, let's see how far you can go on your own abilities. At that moment, the office door opened, and the vice president walked in from outside. Gu Yuan, there you are, here's the form for you. Gu Yuan took it, then looked up excitedly. Vice director. The vice president nodded. Vice president, I spoke slowly, I would also like to apply. At this, Gu Yuan's cold gaze suddenly fell sharply onto my face. Su Lian, are you trying to compete with me for the position of deputy director? I laughed freely. If you have the ability, what are you afraid of? Gu Yuan gritted his teeth and nodded. Fine. Su Lian, don't you regret this? The one who's asking for humiliation won't be me. I clenched the form tightly and strode away. The vice dean had clearly heard about what happened in the hospital yesterday. He sighed. You two were practically a match made in heaven among doctors. How did things end up like this, Lian? Not to mention your parents. Even I feel sorry for you, Uncle Chen. There's nothing to feel sorry for. I haven't lost anything. Vice President shook his head. This Gu Yuan, he's really getting a bit too big for his boots. He's not young anymore. How can he still be so naive? He shook his head and left, and soon had someone bring the form to me. Tonight I don't have to work the night shift, so after arranging things for Chu Yanan, I went home. Before dinner, Su Yisan came back, looking as if someone owed him money, his face heavy. At the dinner table, my dad asked me, are you applying for the deputy director position? Didn't you plan to, Dad? I'm qualified enough, I said with a smile. Finishing his sentence, he glanced at my brother and swallowed the question he didn't ask. I knew my dad wanted to ask why I was applying for the deputy director position if I was preparing to take over the hospital. I was indeed greedy. I didn't want either Su Yisan or Gu Yuan to have it easy. For now, I'll settle for annoying one at a time. In the end, they'll both have to pay for the good people's deaths. Su Yisan suddenly put down his chopsticks, his cold gaze fixed on me. Su Lian, you've been too arrogant in the hospital these past few days. My father immediately became furious again, slamming down his chopsticks and angrily questioning Su Yisan. Do you have to bring this up at the dinner table? Who's being too arrogant here? Your sister is at least doing it for the hospital's sake. What about you? Su Yisan suddenly stood up. Just keep spoiling her. Yisan, how could you be so muddle-headed now? My mother was genuinely puzzled. I don't even mention how you're siding with outsiders. If you could truly help the cause and not favor family, your father and I would be proud of you. But now, just because of a woman, you can't even tell right from wrong. I'm leaving, Su Yisan said impatiently, striding out. Get out now. My dad grabbed a pair of chopsticks and threw them at Su Yisan's back. Su Yisan paused mid-step, turned around, and looked at my dad. I just love someone. I haven't done anything wrong. I quickly stood up to calm my dad down. Don't get angry, Su Yisan, that idiot is truly in the advanced stages of being love-struck. That really helped me out a lot. The results for the deputy director selection are out, and of course, it's me. Gu Yuan was unconvinced. Su Lian, if it weren't for the fact that you rely on your surname being Su, do you really think you could be my match based on your own abilities? I slapped him across the face. Who are you barking at? Have you no self-awareness after letting you off for so many years? You really think you're some kind of divine doctor? Get out of my office. I'll show you what real strength looks like. Gu Yuan left with a stern warning, turning and striding out. Just as I was about to leave, I ran into Chu Yanan, who was coming in through the door. Chu Yanan rolled her eyes at him and walked past him to stand in front of me. I have something to show you. After making sure the door was closed, she took out her phone. In the video, Xiao Jia lay in the hospital bed. After a while, Lin Shirue emerged from the blanket, tucked Xiao Jia in properly, and left. I have a sty. Chu Yanan retrieved her phone. This isn't the first time. Save it to the hard drive and give it to me. USB drive. Chu Yanan directly handed me a USB drive. What a great assistant I have. This Xiao Jia, with surgery scheduled for tomorrow. Couldn't he have waited a little longer? At 9 o'clock the next morning, Xiao Jia was wheeled into the operating room. This surgery was something Gu Yuan had never done before. It was his first time, but he was full of confidence. However, the outcome brutally disproved his confidence. The surgery failed. This time, there was no mistake in the data. While reviewing the video, it was discovered that Lin Shirue had made a mistake. Gu Yuan was already struggling through the surgery, and Lin Shirue's error became the key point leading to the failure of the operation. The operating room door opened, and Gu Yuan emerged with a heavy expression. I'm sorry. We did everything we could. Xiao Jia's parents had never imagined the surgery would fail. Upon hearing this, they were stunned, taking a long moment to process the news. What happened? Is my son dead? Gu Yuan's assistant stepped forward to explain. actually, it was Diar, Lin, shut up. Gu Yuan interrupted his assistant and apologized to Xiao Jia's parents. Xiao Jia's mother collapsed to the ground, crying as if the sky had fallen. Lin Shirui hid behind Gu Yuan, feeling extremely wronged. Xiao Jia's father refused to let the matter rest and grabbed Gu Yuan, demanding he pay with his life. The assistant couldn't stand it anymore and blurted out the truth. Xiao Jia's parents then went for Lin Shirui's hair. This was truly a thorough and intense medical dispute. Lin Shirui was dragged to the hospital rooftop by Xiao Jia's parents. Gu Yuan chased after them. Soon, Su Yisan also arrived at the scene. I followed as well. Xiao Jia's dad, please calm down. This matter isn't entirely Dr. Lin's fault. Xiao Jia's father's eyes were red. That's my son is dead. It's your hospital's fault, so why didn't you pursue it when I initially wanted to fire them both? I questioned. Xiao Jia's father suddenly thought of something, his hateful gaze turning towards Su Yisan, and he rushed towards him. Xiao Jia's mother also went over to beat Su Yisan. As in my previous life, in the midst of pushing and shoving, someone fell, but it wasn't me, it was Su Yisan. In my previous life, Su Yisan and Gu Yuan blamed Xiao Jia's death on me together. This time, it was his turn. I ran downstairs, looking coldly at Su Yisan's body. I wonder if Su Yisan will be reborn. Su Yisan was not reborn. Although my parents were heartbroken, they still had to deal with the hospital matters because Xiao Jia's parents had started making a scene. My parents fired Gu Yuan and Lin Shirui and reported them to the industry. Neither of them will be able to work in the medical field anymore. Xiao Jia's parents also demanded compensation from the hospital, so I directly released the video of me insisting on performing surgery for Xiao Jia, which they firmly refused. Even netizens said, good advice is wasted on those who are determined to die. Moreover, no surgery is guaranteed to be 100% successful. After Gu Yuan and Lin Shirui were fired from the hospital, they couldn't find related jobs, but they still had some savings, so they weren't in a rush to find new work. However, the money quickly ran out. As the saying goes, poverty makes married couples face countless sorrows, and even more so when the two haven't even gotten married yet. They pooled their money to spend together. Now that it's all gone and they can't find other jobs, conflicts naturally arise. When flowers are in full bloom and the moon is full, love can be sustained even by drinking water. But now, the two of them can't even afford water. Gu Yuan found me again. Yen Yen, I've regretted leaving you ever since. I've only now realized that I truly love you. What I felt for Lin Shirui was just a moment of confusion. I don't love her at all. I looked coldly at Gu Yuan, feeling genuinely disgusted. Having such an ex-boyfriend is no different from having a criminal record. Gu Yuan, if you truly loved Lin Shirui and were willing to give up everything for her, even though it would be highly immoral, I would still admire your courage to pursue true love. But now, all I feel is revulsion. Stay away from me and don't come looking for me again. I didn't look at him again, turned around, and walked away. Behind me came Gu Yuan's unwilling voice. Yen Yen, give me another chance. I promise I'll be devoted to you. Back in the office, I took out the USB drive Chu Yanan had given me, thought about it, and put it back. Actually, I'm already quite satisfied with this outcome for Gu Yuan and Lin Shirui. After all, I am a doctor. Yet, in this world, evil does befall the wicked, or perhaps, evil is countered by greater evil. Xiao Jia had recorded a video of Lin Shirui doing something to her, and that video was discovered by Xiao Jia's mother. Xiao Jia's father was detained, awaiting trial, leaving only Xiao Jia's mother alone. She then went to Lin Shirui with the video to demand money, but Lin Shirui can't even support herself now, let alone give her money. In a fit of anger, Xiao Jia's mother released the video to the public. Gu Yuan also found out. When I received news of Gu Yuan again, he had also been taken into custody. He killed Lin Shirui, claiming that Lin Shirui had ruined him. A year later, the verdict in Gu Yuan's case was announced. He was sentenced to death, and the second trial upheld the original verdict. Even on the brink of death, he still believed that Lin Shirui had dragged him down. He even had someone bring me a message, saying he regretted it and that he loved me the most. He couldn't even die without trying to disgust me, but I quickly forgot about him, because a brand new life is beckoning me. In this lifetime, I will go very far. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My husband insisted on going hiking in the scorching heat, and this time I didn't join him. I only bought him accident insurance in advance and stayed home alone to enjoy the air conditioning. In my previous life, I couldn't resist his persistent persuasion and went hiking with him. As a result, A huge boulder suddenly rolled down the mountain. I pushed him away with all my strength to save him. But I was hit by a huge rock, suffering severe abdominal injuries and permanent disability in one leg. He promised to repay me for saving his life and to take care of me for the rest of my life, but then he immediately contacted a lawyer to ask how to get me to return the 80,000 yuan betrothal gift. He even attempted to monopolize the fruit store we opened together. The reason was that I had lost my ability to bear children due to an abdominal injury, making me unable to carry on his family line. When I went to confront him, he even denied the fact that I had saved him. He also blamed me for taking him out hiking, saying that any accidents were my responsibility. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn to the day he suggested going mountain climbing. Gulin hugged my arm and shook it gently. Honey, let's go climb it just once. I heard that the mountain is shrouded in mist and clouds, with absolutely breathtaking scenery. I looked at my right leg, and the hideous scar was gone. The dull ache in my stomach had also disappeared. Gulin was still alive, with his right leg intact, in the end. He didn't manage to persuade me, but when he learned that I allowed him to go hiking on his own, he was both surprised and delighted. He even kissed me on the forehead. Thank you, dear, you're so good to me, I scoffed, but inside, my feelings were a jumbled mess. I secretly bought him a premium, top-tier accident insurance policy, quietly waiting for the huge payout to come. In my previous life, immersed in the sweetness of my new marriage, I agreed to go out with Gulin despite the high temperatures. We were halfway up the mountain when suddenly, a huge boulder came rolling down from the hillside. It happened so suddenly that there was no time to dodge. At the critical moment, I pushed Gulin away with all my might, disregarding my own safety. That accident caused severe injuries to my abdomen, resulting in the loss of my ability to bear children. My right leg was also crushed by a boulder, leaving me permanently disabled. Gulin escaped the disaster with only minor scratches on his arm. At first, he held my severely injured body and cried with genuine emotion. He even made a vow, saying he would take good care of me for the rest of his life, and that he would never leave me even if I were bedridden for life. I initially believed it to be true, until I discovered that his words did not match his actions. During my hospitalization, he only paid 20,000 yuan when helping me with the admission procedures. The remaining over 200,000 yuan in medical expenses were all covered by my parents' savings. Since I was hospitalized, he has been showing up less and less. Every time I call, he complains to me about being busy with work, while also blaming me for making him work overtime every day. I originally felt guilty, until I received a private message from a concerned netizen. It was a clip from a live stream video. Gulin appeared in a live stream hosted by a popular internet famous lawyer. He asked the lawyer how he could get me to return the 80,000 yuan betrothal gift, and how he could take sole ownership of the fruit store we co-founded. I was so furious that my whole body trembled, and my blood seemed to freeze. Forward the video to Gulin and ask him for an explanation. Not only did he show no shame, but he also turned the tables. If you hadn't insisted on going on that trip, would any of this have happened? Your misfortune is entirely your own doing and has nothing to do with me. Do you want to drag me down for the rest of my life? I was so angry that I fainted. My mother, feeling sorry for me, went to their house to seek justice for me, but my mother-in-law accused me of being a hen that can't lay eggs. My mother couldn't hold back and slapped her, and she immediately called the police, getting my mother arrested. Gulin called me again, and as soon as I answered, he started screaming hysterically, "Mo Shui, have you no shame? You actually sent your mother to my house to insult my mother, making her so angry that she fell ill. Be sensible and come with me to get a divorce today. You leave with nothing, or don't blame me for suing your mother in court." I sneered and said, "Fine, come pick me up at my place, let's go get divorced. I've endured a life of utter darkness for over a year, and I've long had enough. Since he wants a divorce, I'll grant him his wish. I don't want anything, I just want him dead." He opened the door and entered. Finding the room empty, I hid behind the door, holding one end of the cane, and swung it hard at the back of his head. Just in case, I had practiced this move hundreds of times. If all else failed, I could throw my whole body at him and knock him down. Fortunately, I succeeded on the first try. He suddenly fell face down and passed out. I calmly took out the prepared boning knife. I wildly slashed at his thigh. Over the past year, I have been using my arms to lift things every day. The biceps have grown increasingly robust. With just a few vigorous chops, I severed his entire right leg. Blood splattered to the corner of my mouth, and I smiled sweetly. Gulin was jolted awake by the intense pain, only to find his hands bound tightly behind his back. I held his thigh, deliberately waving it before his eyes. He let out a scream, his face turning deathly pale as he pleaded for mercy. "Shui, I was wrong, let me go, and we'll live a good life from now on." "Okay, you've already cut off one of my legs, so we're even." I hooked his chin with my finger and pointed the knife tip toward his crotch. I sneered coldly and said, "How can that be considered even? You still have the ability to bear children, husband. If we were the same, would you then not look down on me?" He flew into a rage out of shame. "Mo Shu Qing, you lunatic, if you dare lay a hand on me, you'll die a miserable death." I remained silent, only raising my knife to castrate him. He let out a piercing scream. Suddenly, with an unexpected burst of strength, he rammed into me and broke free. He snapped the rope, snatched his severed manhood, and hopped away on one foot. Leaning on my crutch, I limped after him. In my hand, I tightly gripped the knife, still dripping with blood. As soon as the door opened, my mother-in-law saw the miserable state of her son. She scolded me heartbrokenly, "You heartless jinx, a hen that can't lay eggs. Look what you've done to my precious son, my poor child." I didn't argue back, just silently clenched my teeth, preparing to gather my strength. Gu Lin saw his mother and thought he had found a savior. He desperately hopped toward her. I'm too lazy to chase after it. Swinging my arm in a full circle, I aimed the knife at his heart. I hurled it. The sharp boning knife pierced his heart. Gu Lin collapsed in front of his mother, his eyes wide open in death. The old woman witnessed her son being stabbed to death by me. She was so terrified that she went insane. I walked up to the rooftop and leaped off, ended his own painful and absurd life, unexpectedly. With that jump, I was actually reborn. In my previous life, I was left permanently disabled because I went hiking with Gu Lin. He even went on a blind date while I was in the hospital, avoiding the responsibility of taking care of me, attempting to divorce and leave me with nothing. In this lifetime, it seems our life scripts are about to be swapped. Gu Lin, I want to see what you'll be like when the whip strikes you. I specifically reminded Gu Lin to leave early in the morning, just like in the previous life. Gu Lin left the house at exactly 7 a.m. to go hiking. I then went back to sleep for a while longer. I slept until a little past 9 o'clock. Suddenly, the door was knocked on with a thunderous noise. I looked at my phone and saw that Gu Lin had called me over a dozen times and sent countless messages. I wasn't in a hurry to open the door. Instead, I tapped on the first voice message. Gu Lin's anxious plea for help came through. "Honey, I've had an accident on the mountain. Please find someone to rescue me quickly. LOL. Shouldn't you call 120 in an emergency? What's the point of notifying me?" The knocking at the door continued. I opened the door irritably. Right in front of me were my mother-in-law's eyes, red with anger. "Your husband was almost crushed to death by a rock, and you have the nerve to sleep in at home." With that, she reached out to hit me. I had anticipated it and dodged her in an instant. She stumbled and hit the iron door herself, causing her nose to bleed profusely. "Oh, Mom, why did you only tell me now that something happened to Gu Lin? Take me to the hospital quickly." She had intended to go inside to find something to wipe the blood from her nose, but I pulled her away in an instant. I had to cover my nose the whole way while giving me directions, couldn't spare a hand to bother me anymore. Gu Lin's injuries weren't as severe as I had anticipated. It's just like in my previous life, loss of reproductive function, plus a broken right leg. After the surgery, the doctor earnestly informed me, "The patient's injuries are quite severe. Be mindful of your approach when communicating. Try to avoid mentioning any sensitive topics that might upset the patient, not conducive to the recovery of the injury." I nodded repeatedly in agreement. I also strictly followed the doctor's advice and, as soon as I entered the ward, asked Gu Lin with concern, "Husband, I heard the stone also hit you there, so, can we still have children in the future? You know, my mom has always wanted to hold a granddaughter. If she finds out you can't have children anymore, she'll definitely come to the hospital and make a scene." In my previous life, I had just undergone surgery. After my mother-in-law found out I couldn't have children, she immediately started clamoring for Gu Lin to divorce me. She even insulted me, calling me a hen that couldn't lay eggs. Gu Lin stood by silently, letting his mother cause a scene in the hospital room. I was so angry that I tore my stitches and had to stay in the hospital for an extra half-month. He took advantage of my serious injury to secretly accept the blind date his mother arranged for him. This time, the tables should turn. Gu Lin was so angry that his face turned pale. My mother-in-law, standing nearby, overheard my words. Instantly, anger surged within me. Pointing at the tip of my nose, she scolded me, "You shameless vixen, my son isn't even dead yet, and you're already thinking about that again. Do you have any shame left?" I wasn't angry at all. I just argued based on reason. "Mom, how is having a child something to be ashamed of? It's something we both wanted. Besides, You yourself were born out of wedlock, when you and my father-in-law were having my husband. Was it Grandma Gulin who was holding his hips, pushing and pulling from the side? After hearing this, she widened her eyes in disbelief, her old face flushed with shame as she fled the room. I turned my gaze to Gulin. He was now completely wrapped in bandages. Unable to move, I deliberately reached for his belt. Husband, let me see how badly you're hurt. He's getting anxious. He reluctantly sat up, accidentally pulling on his wound. Blood seeped through the white bandage on his thigh. I blinked, covered my mouth, and looked innocent. Oh dear, it's bleeding. Let me call the doctor for you. I pressed the call button by the bed and left the ward. Sitting on a chair in the hallway, I started calling for help. After coordinating our stories with my mom, she rushed to the hospital ward in a hurry. Seeing her arrive, my mother-in-law couldn't wait to run up to my mom and complain. Dear in-law, your daughter Shui has become completely lawless. Just as Gulin was admitted to the hospital, she said my son can't have children, still clamoring for a divorce. If you don't rein her in soon, she'll be bold enough to go out and cheat on my son tomorrow. Little did she know, what she got wasn't my mother scolding me. Instead, my mother rolled up her sleeves and started loudly making sarcastic remarks outside the hospital room. I heard your son's roots are broken. What's the difference between a man who can't have children and a eunuch from the Qing dynasty? It's bad enough that he looks like a coward, and now he's only got soft eggs left. My daughter is going to give me granddaughters in the future. How can she be tied to a mule that can't breed? If you ask me, they should get divorced today, so he doesn't waste my daughter's time. My mother-in-law's face turned red and then pale. She was about to retort, suddenly realizing that my son is now a defective product. I have no grounds to refute my mother, so I can only grit my teeth and swallow the bitterness. With a smile on my face that looks worse than crying, I try to persuade my mother-in-law, how can we make decisions for the young couple on our own? Besides, they're newlyweds, they're deeply in love. How could they possibly divorce now? Then she turned to me. Shu Qing, I spoke too hastily just now. Don't take it to heart. I'm giving you this bracelet. Both of you, listen to your mother. Live a good life from now on. She put the pure gold bracelet from her hand onto mine. I never expected that what I longed for in my past life would be so easily obtained in this one. People really are cheap. Before I even crossed the threshold, Gulin's mother had already declared she would pass on the gold bracelet on her hand to her daughter-in-law on the wedding day. But until I married Gulin, she never gave me the bracelet. At first, I thought she was just too busy and forgot, so I quietly reminded her at the wedding. However, as if she had caught me in the act, she loudly scolded me in front of the guests. You haven't even stepped through the door yet, and you're already eyeing your mother-in-law's gold bracelet. Gulin, this is the good wife you married. The guests were talking about me, and the situation became very awkward. That embarrassing experience became a thorn in my heart. It even made me doubt myself. Is there something I, as a daughter-in-law, have done to offend her, that she would go out of her way to embarrass me in public? Later, real-life experience taught me I had no issues at all. It was simply her being despicable. I listed that bracelet for sale online, got over 10,000 yuan for free. At the same time, I immediately reported the incident to the insurance company and had the accident assessed as soon as possible. Gulin's situation falls under accidental disability, and I had purchased the deluxe Supreme Treasure insurance with a very high coverage amount. According to their compensation standards, I can receive at least 1 million yuan in compensation. I used the more than 10,000 yuan from selling the bracelet to book a luxury cruise for my parents. In my previous life, because of that terrible marriage, my parents also suffered greatly. Before I had the chance to let them enjoy a good life, I ended my own life in a hurry. Thinking back carefully, it's filled with regrets. The money from selling the gold bracelet would become joint marital assets if not spent. It's better to let my parents enjoy it to the fullest. I didn't go with them, because there are more important things waiting for me to do. In this lifetime, I will not only reclaim everything that belongs to me, I will also make Gulin leave with nothing. I will repay him in his own coin. Let him also experience the pain and despair I felt during my hospital stay. I was busy running the fruit shop when my mother-in-law kept calling to hurry me up. Your husband is in the hospital, and you still have the nerve to worry about the fruit shop. Hurry up and come take care of him. I kept making excuses until Gulin called. Mo Shui, do you have to wait until I die before you come to collect my body? We are legally married. Don't you understand that you have an obligation to take care of me? My mother is already so old. What kind of thing is it for you to have her staying up all night at the hospital every day? See, men always have a kind of arrogant self-confidence that blinds them to the situation. Even though he's lying in a hospital bed right now, half crippled, he still has the confidence to boss me around. if I had been half as assertive as he is in my past life, I probably wouldn't have ended up in such a miserable state. I pretended to be weak, softening my tone. I'm sorry, honey, our fruit shop has been doing too well lately. I really can't get away. We can't have Mom come over to do all this physical labor, can we? Don't worry. I've arranged for a caregiver to go over and help you. Now she and Mom can take turns looking after you. I don't want any caregiver. Can't you understand what I'm saying? Right now, he is just too noisy. I couldn't wait until the end of the call and hung up. I'm not as stingy as Gu Lin. In my previous life, he wanted me to leave with nothing, so he chose to connect with a free lawyer for consultation. I have a high school classmate who works at a prestigious law firm in the city. She specializes in divorce cases, even though we haven't seen each other for many years and our relationship has grown distant. She was still very warm when she received me. The essence of social interactions among adults is the exchange of interests and values. We have a classmate group, and she often shares divorce cases in it, cases that I used to find utterly sensational. Now, as they relate to my past life experiences, they no longer seem sensational to me. I'm even confident I could make the front page of their official account. After entering her office, she had her assistant pour me a cup of hot tea. I got straight to the point. My husband is disabled. How can I make him leave with nothing? As expected of a lawyer who has seen it all, faced with my overly direct and seemingly morally bankrupt opening, she did not show excessive shock. She just asked me to provide detailed information about my marital status and financial situation. After I explained the specific circumstances, she fell into a moment of silence. After a moment of thought, he smiled with a hint of apology and said to me, "Shui, in your situation, I'm afraid a divorce lawsuit won't be easy to handle. Your husband is disabled, which makes him the vulnerable party now. Moreover, he has no fault in the marriage. Even if you win the lawsuit, the most you can get is a divorce, but you won't have the upper hand when it comes to property. The court might even award more to your husband." I asked in confusion, "You mean, he has to make the first mistake? Only then is it possible to leave with nothing, right?" "No, it's not necessarily about making a mistake. In short, you need to prove that the relationship between you and your husband has broken down. I suggest you separate from your husband first. However, the separation period must be at least 1 year. During this time, there should be no frequent emotional communication, and even if there is, it must reflect a breakdown in the relationship." I shook my head helplessly. "We can't drag it out for that long. It's been too long. Is there any faster way?" Lawyer Liu handed me a business card. "Sorry, unless both parties are willing to get a divorce. Otherwise, this situation really can't be sped up. This is my friend's business card. You can go and try with her." Under my puzzled gaze, she handed me a business card for the person in charge of a matchmaking agency. Another meaningful glance was cast my way. I had a sudden enlightenment. Since the normal approach wasn't working, I decided to take a different path. I went to that matchmaking agency. After explaining my purpose to the person in charge, things quickly took a turn for the better. Sister Hong, the person in charge, placed a stack of materials in front of me. She spread her arms boldly on the armchair and said in a tone of surprise, "It's the first time I've seen a wife looking for a mistress for her own husband. You really are something else." I gave an awkward laugh and quickly identified a woman from that pile of information. According to Sister Hong, this woman is a notorious serial homewrecker, is a super member of our institution. She is determined to marry a wealthy man. Your husband needs to be well packaged, otherwise he won't catch her eye. The woman in the photo has shoulder-length curly hair and a stylish French fringe. Her makeup is exquisite yet not sharp. Her smile is gentle as water, with a shallow dimple on her right cheek. She looks exactly like Gu Lin's dream lover. I noted down her phone number. I immediately dialed it. The woman's name was Wu Yen, 27 years old, unmarried, unemployed. I arranged to meet her at the coffee shop downstairs from the hospital. She was wearing a pink bubble-sleeve bodycon dress and white stiletto heels. Her appearance was gentle and sweet. She was enveloped in a cloying, cheap perfume scent. The fragrance envelopes every strand of hair. She walked with a gentle sway of her waist, drawing the attention of many customers, not just men. Even I found myself a bit mesmerized. After she settled in, I presented her with the carefully prepared luxury brand handbag. You can tell those old men never gave her anything good. The young girl just received a basic bag, and she was so excited she grabbed my hand. "Sis, you're so kind. Although I don't like women, I'm willing to try to change my sexual orientation for you." I was so startled that I quickly withdrew my hand. "Show her Gu Lin's photo. Within a month, win over this man, the kind that makes him willing to divorce and leave everything behind for you. After it's done, I'll give you 100,000. She suddenly stopped smiling, sitting up straight. She frowned and said, "He's too ugly, you need to pay more." We spoke at the same time. I shouted, 15,000, she said, 11,000. I was shocked. She, deal at 150000. Me, alright, as long as you can do it, 150000 will be transferred directly to your card. She beamed with joy, patted her chest, and assured me, "Don't worry, I guarantee the task will be completed." Her behavior, clear and naive, is like that of a college student. I am genuinely a bit worried, but after I brought her to the hospital, she proved with her actions her deep understanding of men. Wu Yan entered Gu Lin's hospital room as a caregiver, sent in by me. She stood behind me. Before seeing anyone, Gu Lin heard that I had brought a caregiver to look after him. He shouted loudly, telling the person to get out. He was so emotional that his face turned bright red. "Mo Shui, you're just brushing me off like this. I'm lying in bed now and can't move around freely. What if the caregiver doesn't like me and hits me?" I don't care. I don't want any damn caregiver. You have to stay and take care of me yourself. Make her get out. I silently stepped aside and pushed Wu Yan toward the hospital bed. When she appeared in Gu Lin's sight, wiping away her tears, looking pitiful and heart-wrenching, the noisy sounds of resistance in his ears suddenly came to a halt. Wu Yan suddenly knelt down by the hospital bed, pleading tearfully and sorrowfully, "Please, let me stay and take care of you. I am absolutely on call and definitely won't resort to violence. My family member is seriously ill and needs special medication, and I also have to pay for my younger brother's tuition. It was really hard to find this job. Please, I beg you to keep me." Gu Lin's expression tightened, and he reached out with a pained heart to help the poor girl kneeling on the ground. The previous hostility had completely dissipated. I deliberately played hard to get, saying in a light, airy tone, "I only agreed to let her work as a caregiver because I felt sorry for this poor girl. Since you don't want her, I have no choice but to fire her." With that, I took Wu Yan by the hand and stood up to leave the room. Wu Yan refused to get up no matter what. She clung to Gu Lin's leg, crying her heart out. "The situation is getting a bit out of control." Only then did Gu Lin pretend to reluctantly speak up. Alright, I'll take it, okay. It's fine if you stay to take care of me, but you can't just disappear every day. You must come to supervise her every day." I gave a soft hum of agreement. From then on, I would go to the hospital every evening after work. The purpose was not to visit Gu Lin, but to have Wu Yan report the progress to me. On her first day at work, Wu Yan was still wearing a white work uniform. The overly loose long sleeves and pants made it impossible to show off her good figure. That evening, when she carried a thermos to pour hot water for Gu Lin, the lid wasn't screwed on tightly and suddenly rolled off, scalding hot water splashed onto her thigh. She gasped in pain. As a result, Gu Lin exempted her from the requirement to wear work clothes while working. When she reported this incident to me, I couldn't help but sigh. "You don't have to be so hard on yourself. I'm not covering your medical bills." She then pulled up her pant leg and gave me a radiant smile. "Look, it's just makeup I applied. The water in the bottle is warm, not hot at all. I did this to have physical contact with him as soon as possible." Physical closeness can quickly bridge psychological distance. See, he initially resisted when I helped him change his bandage. In just one night, the problem was solved. I clapped my hands and gave her a thumbs up. "You're amazing." The relationship between Gu Lin and Wu Yan was rapidly growing closer at a pace I could perceive. This is evident from the duration of my visits to the hospital each time. It's like seeing a glimpse of the whole picture through a narrow view. During the first week, every time I went to the hospital, Gu Lin would pull me aside to vent his frustrations, not complaining about how terrible the hospital food is, just lamenting how the illness is tormenting them to the brink of death. Every time, they pour out their heart to me until late at night, like a baby who hasn't been weaned. They tell me every little detail. I'm so busy at the fruit shop every day that I have no mind to listen to his complaints. Although I sit by his bedside, my ears can't take in any of his grumbling. My thoughts fly away with the wild geese passing by outside the glass window, pondering how to spend the 1.5 million from the insurance payout, and how to come up with a clever pretext to transfer the fruit shop into my name. Gu Lin noticed that I hadn't responded for a while. He shook my shoulder with his hand. "Honey, are you even listening to me? My dog of a supervisor is forcing me to resign because of my hospitalization. He said if I don't go back to work, the company will fire me." I casually echoed his words. Getting fired is good, really good. My indifferent attitude pricked his sensitive self-esteem. He angrily pushed me away abruptly. I stumbled and fell to my knees on the ground. I ended up kowtowing to Wu Yan, who had just walked into the ward. A sharp pain shot through my knee. I lifted the hem of my skirt to take a look. 2 red marks stood out starkly against my fair skin. In a fit of anger, I raised my hand, swinging my arms. I struck left and right. I scratched frantically at Gu Lin's face. He cried out in pain but was powerless to push me away, because his lower body was wrapped in bandages, and his wounds had not fully healed. Once you move, it will tear. After leaving more than a dozen bloody claw marks on Gu Lin's face, I gave Wu Yan a meaningful look. She immediately understood and rushed forward to pull me away. Gu Lin looked like a plucked sick chicken. His eyes filled with terror as he stared at me. From then on, the time I spent lingering in the hospital grew shorter and shorter. The frequency of my visits also decreased. 2 weeks later, I happened to pass by while running errands and caught a glimpse through the glass outside the ward. Gu Lin pulled Wu Yan, who was changing his dressing, into his arms. He even wrapped his arm around her neck and planted a kiss on her face. Seeing that Wu Yan didn't resist, he grew even bolder. His hand was about to slip into her clothes. I quietly took a few photos to keep as evidence, then, pretending not to have seen anything, I quickly left the doorway of the hospital room. By the time I got home, Wu Yan had sent me a new update on the progress. Sleeping, I replied with, received. She added, sister, he's been saying bad things about you a lot lately. Listening to this makes me want to give him a good whack. I didn't understand before why you were so heartless. Now I'm starting to get it. This man is petty, selfish, and has no sense of responsibility at all. I reminded her. No need to feel indignant on my behalf. Just focus on establishing your own image. Gu Lin isn't foolish. He's more calculating than anyone. This week, make sure to keep him happy. Be completely obedient and accommodating. He scolds me and you join in. You must act like the jealous mistress resenting the original wife. A week later, you say you're pregnant and use that to demand he marries you. Otherwise you'll abort the child. The doctor said he is infertile, and what he wants most now is a child. Got it, Wu Yan replied. Okay, sis, you can count on me. We're professionals. A week passed in the blink of an eye. Wu Yan's status in Gu Lin's heart grew day by day. Whenever I tried to discuss anything with him, he would always steer the conversation back to Wu Yan. She even took the initiative to ask me for a raise. Honey, how much are you paying Yen per month? I think this little girl is working too hard. She takes care of me day and night, always busy and on the go. These things should have been done by you. She's done you a great favor. You must not treat her poorly, I chided with a smile. Thinking to myself, she's busy serving you during the day and has to sleep with you at night. Being both a workhorse and a poultry, it's really not easy. But he doesn't need to feel sorry for Wu Yan, because Wu Yan's monthly salary of 150,000 is all deducted from his assets. Had a lawyer divide the assets for the fruit shop, I sold the store at a low price to a trusted friend, citing poor management and the risk of closure as the reason. Then, after a makeover, my parents bought it back. My friend was put in charge of the nominal operation. Half of the money was given to Gu Lin by me, pretending it was his share of the revenue. His portion of the property was entirely used to cover hospital and nursing fees. Now, there is almost nothing left. After everything was properly prepared, Wu Yan and I had a discussion and simulated a dramatic scene of catching an affair. The night before the storm arrived, I bought a 2-line pregnancy test online in advance, handed it to Wu Yan, patiently reminded. Today is the day Gu Lin is discharged from the hospital. It's also the day we plan to close the net. You must give it your all in your performance. It's best to make such a scene that everyone knows, forcing him to marry you. If he doesn't agree, you can bring the matter to me. That way, I can have leverage over him, and winning the divorce will be a sure thing. She nodded quite seriously. With everything in place, Wu Yan and I arrived at the hospital one after the other. Before setting off, I specifically sent a message to Gu Lin, telling him that I would pick him up from the hospital. He didn't reply to me for a long time. Half an hour later, I guess Wu Yan went to the hospital room to confront him. The guilt in his message was barely concealed between the lines. Honey, a friend of mine is in town on a business trip recently. I heard I was hospitalized and insisted on coming to visit me. I might be discharged a few hours later than expected. Maybe you shouldn't come. I'll just take a taxi home later. I replied with an, okay, then. Without any hurry, he entered the inpatient department. He went to room 405 where Gu Lin was staying. Inside the ward, Wu Yan was sitting in Gu Lin's arms, gently stroking her own belly, asking in a sweet and happy voice, darling, what do you think we should name our child? Gu Lin, on the other hand, held her tightly in his arms and kissed her face repeatedly. In a doting tone, I'll do as you say. I never thought I'd have a child of my own in this lifetime. I told you that doctor misdiagnosed it. It's just a bump from a stone, not broken. How could it be that you can't have children? Wu Yan happily turned and wrapped her arms around him, then she changed to a worried expression. when are you going to divorce Shi? The child is gradually growing older. I don't want to be laughed at for having a big belly at the wedding. Gu Lin was currently blinded by love. No matter what demands Wu Yan made, he nodded in agreement. Divorce, I'll divorce her. As soon as I get back. I've long been fed up with that old hag. She gives me the cold shoulder every day and even dares to hit me. In ancient times, such a vicious woman should have been drowned in a pig cage and sunk in a pond. Wu Yan covered his mouth, coquettishly chiding. Quick, spit it out. You're about to become a father. At least speak kindly for the child's sake. Sister Shi has always been very good to me. If it weren't for her introduction, we wouldn't have ended up together. It was you who cheated first, so it's best to have a peaceful divorce when the time comes. Let's accumulate some blessings for our child. Gu Lin touched Wu Yan's belly. All right, I'll do as you say. I can't be bothered to argue with that shrew. At worst, we can just give her a bigger share of the money later to keep her from going crazy and causing trouble for us. The two of them were snuggled together, lost in their own little world. I pushed the door open and entered. I questioned loudly, how have I made you uncomfortable, Mr. Gu? I've been busy finding people to serve you and helping you manage your family business. You had an affair behind my back with the caregiver I hired. Is this how you repay me? Gu Lin was shocked upon hearing this, his face turning pale with fear. He stammered for a long time, unable to find words to refute. Wu Yan also exaggeratedly opened her mouth wide, immersing herself in the experience of being caught in the act of infidelity. At this moment, I stand on the absolute moral high ground. Even if I were to beat Gu Lin, he wouldn't dare to fight back, but I didn't choose such an undignified way. Instead, I called both sets of parents. When my parents arrived, I was slumped on the floor, speechless, helplessly weeping uncontrollably. My hair was disheveled like a bird's nest, perfectly embodying the image of a disheveled, abandoned wife. Seeing this, my dad pulled out his 7 wolves belt and vigorously lashed it at Gu Lin. My mom, on the other hand, started pulling his hair. Under the mixed doubles assault, Gu Lin simply decided to throw caution to the wind. He completely abandoned his last shred of shame and moral bottom line. Even if the reasoning is flawed, the tone remains bold. My affair was also caused by Mo Shi, who told her to be lazy and hire such a beautiful caregiver to seduce me. It's just one affair, what's the big deal? My colleagues even spend money to go out and solicit prostitutes. When it comes to competing in being the worst, Gu Lin has always been a natural. After my mother-in-law rushed over and heard Gu Lin's outrageous remarks, she also snatched the belt from my father to teach Gu Lin a lesson, but upon hearing that Wu Yan was pregnant with Gu Lin's child, her attitude immediately did a complete 180. My son was wrong to have an affair. Given the circumstances, I think it's better for them to get a divorce. That way, no one has to put up with anyone else. All she cared about was carrying on the family line. As for who would bear the child, she didn't care in the slightest. Both parties hit it off right away. Gu Lin's taxi took the whole family directly to the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, with both parties agreeing to the divorce. I actually forgot about the damn divorce cooling off period. Wu Yan urged Gu Lin from the side. I don't care, I'm moving into your house today. I've been waiting for this day for too long. I've prepared divorce agreements for both of you. After reaching an agreement, one of you can file for divorce. This way, we can avoid any disputes between both parties, and there's no need to wait 30 days. Wu Yan truly lived up to her professional standards. She actually thought of this step even before I did. The property division above is clearly stated. All assets are to be split 50-50. Gu Lin and I signed on the spot. I filed for divorce with the court, and Gu Lin responded to the lawsuit. On the day of the hearing, the judge first asked us to mediate on our own. Both parties unanimously refused. After the court session began, Gu Lin was dumbfounded, because I presented evidence of his domestic violence, proof of his extramarital affair, and a medical diagnosis confirming his loss of fertility, and I tore up the signed prenuptial agreement right in court. Demand that he leave with nothing. I was fully prepared for the battle. While Gu Lin was caught off guard, he could only produce a disability certificate to win the judge's sympathy. In the end, I successfully filed for divorce. However, out of humanitarian considerations, the court did not force Gu Lin to leave with nothing. They only ruled for a 60-40 split of all assets. I got 60%, he got 40%. Gu Lin was quite dissatisfied with the verdict and immediately filed an appeal for a second trial. He did appeal, but it was dismissed by the local court. The original judgment from the first trial was upheld. When Gu Lin called me, Wu Yan was sharply mocking him. Take a look at yourself. How could you possibly think I'd have a child with you? You're so poor you can't even afford underwear. Why should I keep this bastard child? Let's break up, and don't bother me again in the future. My brother is a karate champion. if you dare come after me, he'll punch you into the ground." A heavy door slam echoed from the other end. I didn't want to waste any more words on Gu Lin and directly hung up the phone. He should be sitting dejectedly on the living room sofa right now, holding his head in regret and crying. It's just a pity that this isn't his most miserable moment yet. Half a month later, when Gu Lin was paying for instant noodles at the supermarket, I unexpectedly discovered that my balance was insufficient. At that moment, I was lying in a glass house in the Maldives, leisurely sunbathing, savoring the newly purchased white wine, when I received Gu Lin's call. He screamed at me hysterically, "Mo Shui, where has all my money gone? We agreed on a 60-40 split. Did you take all my money for yourself?" I looked at the balance of over 3 million in my newly opened bank card, as well as the daily cash flow of over 5,000 from the fruit shop. I replied with delight, "What are you talking about, ex-husband? You spent over 500,000 on your hospital stay. The fruit shop was sold to pay for your medical treatment. I've even left the house for you to live in. What more could you possibly want?" he exclaimed in astonishment. "Didn't I only spend a little over 300,000 on my hospital stay? Where did the over 500,000 in expenses come from? You really did secretly take an extra 100,000 or so. Give my money back right now." I tapped my fingers and spoke coldly. "Does hiring a caregiver not cost money? Do the daily supplements like abalone and bird's nest not cost money? If you have the guts, go sue me in court and see who wins." Gu Lin was completely unaware that I had bought insurance for him. I have kept screenshots of evidence for all the visible expenses. I guarantee he won't find a single illegal aspect. Although hiring a caregiver cost 150000, it was all spent on him. I didn't gain any benefit at all. Besides, he didn't even have the money to pay for a lawyer to sue me. I cancelled all my contact information. I moved to a new city with my parents. When Gu Lin, leaning on a crutch and holding a knife, showed up at my parents' house, the surveillance camera outside the door captured him. I immediately called the police and had him sent to the station to cool off for a few days. While he was stuck in the station, eating prison food in frustration, I was taking my parents on a boat to the sea to experience catching bluefin tuna. All the regrets and shadows left from the previous life, healed by the sea breeze and sunlight, swept away completely. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.